Good morning, student. Today I will teach very interesting topic from chapter Playing with Number, that is divisibility. Divisibility, what exact mean of divisibility? Divisibility by means if a number is divided by another number, so we will get remainder 0, which means that number is divisible by that another number. If we will not get remainder 0, it means that particular number is not divisible by that another number. Now I will tell you about some rules of divisibility. Today I will tell you about few divisibility rules like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, so on. So at time we do need to find whether a number is divisible by 2 or not. So let us see. Now can you tell me 1548 is divisible by 2 or not? How will you find it out? That when one way is to find out that is by actually dividing 1548 by 2. So I can divide it 1548 by 2 and see whether I get a remainder or not. But 1548 is a big number. So if I actually try to divide it, it will take a lot of time of mine. So is there a simpler way to find out? Let us see. For that we have divisibility rule for 2. That is, if a number is divisible by 2, if the last digit is even 2, 0, 4, 6 or 8. So this means that I do not need to divide this entire number by 2. I simply need to look at the last digit number, which is 8 here. And if the last digit is either 2, either 4, either 6, either 8 or either 0, so their number is divided by 2. So in this case, the last digit of 1548 is 8. So 8 is an even number. So I can say that 1548 is divisible by 2. 27506 divisible by 2. How will I find out? So I need to divide this huge number. No, I do not. I know the divisibility rule of 2. It says the last digit should be either 2 or 4 or 6 or 0. So last the digit is any number of these 5, so the number is divisible by 2. In this case, the last digit is 6 and 6 is an even number, which means 27506 is divisible by 2. Now can you answer this question? Is 487287 divisible by 2 or not? So once again I need to look at the last digit, and no matter how big the number is, this is a 6-digit number, but I just need to look at the last digit. So I just need to look at the last digit, which is 7 in this case. 7 is an odd number. It is not an even number. So which means 487287 is not divisible by 2. Now can you tell me, is 3570 divisible by 3 or not? When one way is to find out that is by actually dividing 3570 by 3. So I can divide 3570 by 3 and see whether I get a remainder or not. But 3570 is a big number. So if I actually try to divide it, it will take a lot of my time. So is there a simpler way or trick to find out? Let us see. So for that we have divisibility rule for 3. That is, it says if the sum of the digit of a number is divisible by 3, then the number is also divisible by 3. What does this mean? So I have this number 3570. So now what is the sum of the digit of this number? What is the digit of this number? That is 3, 5, 7 and 0. These are the digits. What are the sum of the digits? That is 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 0. So here 3 plus 5 become 8. 8 plus 7 become 15. And 15 plus 0 become 15. So the sum of these digits is 15. Now is 15 is divisible by 3 or not? Yes, 15 comes in the table of 3. So 3 into 5 become 15. So we can say that 15 is divisible by 3. In the other words, it means we can say that 3570 is also divisible by 3. Now let us check whether 75281 is divisible by 3 or not. So this is the 5-digit number. So even more difficult division it is. So instead of dividing, I will add the digit which are 7 plus 5 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1. Now 7 plus 5 become 12. 12 plus 2 become 14. 14 plus 8 become 28. It's 22. 22 plus 1 become 23. So the sum of the digits is 23. So the sum of the digit is 23. Now is 23 is divisible by 3 or not? Does 23 comes in the table of 3? Recall number 23 is not come in the table of 3. So 23 is not divisible by 3. So it means even this number 75281 is not divisible by 3. Now like that you can check any of one which is divisible by 3 or not. Now there is a new question, that is 8728 divisible by 4? I have learned that if the last digit is even or 0, then the number is divisible by 2. But what about 4? How do I find whether this number is divisible by 4 or not? So I need to divide number. We have a divisibility rule for 4 as well. It says a number is divisible by 4 if the number formed by the last two digits is a multiple of 4. Now we have last two digit numbers. So now I need to look at the last two digits of the number, which are 2 and 8. In this case, now if 2 and 8 together, that is 28. If 28 is divisible by 4, then the number will be divisible by 4. So now we need to look at last two digits. The last two digits are 28, and is 28 divisible by 4? Yes, 28 comes in the table of 4 because 4 into 7 becomes 28. So 28 is divisible by 4. This means that even 8728 is divisible by 4. And yes, we can say that 8728 is also be divisible by 4. So now, how can we find a number is divisible by 5 or not? So, can you tell me, is 7925 divisible by 5 or not? So, one way is to divide this by 5 and check. If I get the remainder 0, it means that the number is divisible by 5. If the remainder is not 0, it means that the number is not divisible by 5. But this is a big number. So let me tell you a trick which you can use here. We call it the divisibility rule for 5, which is if the last digit of a number is either 0 or 5, then the number is divisible by 5. So, it is very simple. If the last digit is either 0 or 5, so is the number is, I need to look at the only the last digit, which is 5 in this case. If the last digit of a number is divisible by 5, so it means that this number is divisible by 5. So 7925 is divisible by 5 because the last digit is 5. So no matter how big the number is, I only need to look at the last digit. If it is 0, that means the number is divisible by 5, or if it is 5, then it means the number is divisible by 5. Now, can you tell me whether this number is divisible by 6 or not? So, one way is to divide 5568 by 6 and see whether we get the remainder 0 or not. If the remainder is 0, so this number is divisible by 6. If the remainder is not 0, that means this number is not divisible by 6. But instead of doing this huge long division, there is another trick which we can use to see whether this number is divisible by 6 or not. What is it? This trick is called divisibility rule for 6. It says if the number is divisible by 2 and 3 both, are you noted my point? 2 and 3 both, then the number is divisible by 6. So if this number is divisible by 2 as well as 3, that is by both 2 and 3, then I can say that number 5568 is divisible by 6. And how could I find whether this number is divisible by 2 and 3? So, we know the divisibility rule of 2 and 3. For 2, we check either the last digit is 0 or even number. It means that number is divisible by 2, and if the sum of the digits is divisible by 3, it means that the number is divisible by 3. So, if these two things hold, that is, if these two conditions are true or satisfied, then I can say that number is divisible by 6. So how can we check? whether a number is divisible by 6 or not for the divisibility rule of 2. If it is divisible, then check the divisibility rule of 3. If it is divisible, then number is divisible by 6. Now come to the question. Is 5568 divisible by 6? So first I check for 2. The divisibility rule for 2 says that look for the last digit, which is 8 in this case. So the last digit is 8, which is even, so it is divisible by 2. So my first step is over. Now check for second step. Now I need to check for 3. What is the divisibility rule of 3? That is, add the digit. So 5 plus 5 plus 6 plus 8 equal to what? 5 plus 5, 10. 10 plus 6, 16. 16 plus 8, 24. So the sum of the digits is 24. And is 24 is divisible by 3? Yes, 24 is divisible by 3 because it will be come in the table of 3. 3 into 8 is become 24. Since 24 is divide by 3, which means even 5568 is divide by 2 and 3 both. So it means that 5568 is also be divisible by 6. Now, is 455 divisible by 7? How do you find out? Well, you can either find this out by using normal division. So, what do you mean by is 455 divisible by 7? If I divide 455 by 7 and get the remainder 0, it means that the number is divisible by 7. But if the remainder is not 0, it means that the number is not divisible by 7. So how do you find out whether this number is divisible by 7 or not? So we have a simple way, that is divisibility rule for 7. That is, what is the divisibility rule for 7 is? That is, double the last digit and subtract it from the remaining digit. If the number is either 0 or divisible by 7, then the original number is also divisible by 7. So, what do you mean by the double the last digit? So, in 455, the last digit is 5. So, I needed to double it. 5 into 5, 5 into 2 to get 10 and subtract it from the remaining digit. What are the remaining digit? That is 4 and 5. That becomes 45. So, I need to subtract 10 from 45. When I subtract 10 from 45, I get 35. If the number either 0 or divisible by 7, so 35, I need to check if it is 0 or divisible by 7 or not. I see that 35 is divisible by 7. Then the number is also divisible by 7. So this means 455 is also be divisible by 7. Now you can check by actually dividing 455 by 7. You will see that is divisible by 7. That is, you get the remainder 0. That is a very important rule and it is useful mainly we have a big number. So, need to remember how to follow the different step of this rule. So now let us see this number 9681. Is 9681 divisible by 7 or not? We will use the divisibility rule of 7. What is that? So take the last digit, which is 1, and double it. So 1 into 2 become 2, and I need to subtract it from the remaining digit. That is the digit before the 1. So I need to subtract 2 from 968 because 968 are present before 1. So I need to double 1, that is multiple 1 by 2 to get 2, and then subtracted with whatever was there before 1. So if I subtracted, I get 966. So I get 966. Is 966 divisible by 7? Then this number is also be divisible by 7, but just by looking 966 we cannot say whether it is divisible by 7 or not. So what do you do? Once again we can apply the same rule for 966 to check whether it is divisible by 7 or not. So take the last digit, which is 6, double it. So multiply 6 by 2 gives me 12, and subtract it from the remaining digits, which are 9 and 6. So I need to subtract from 96. So 12 subtracted from 96 gives me 84. So I have 84 now. Now is 84 is divisible by 7? Then this number is also be divisible by 7. But just by looking 84, we cannot say whether it is divisible by 7 or not. So what do you do? Once again we can apply the same rule for 84 to check whether this number is divisible by 7 or not. So I take the last digit, that is 4, and multiply by 2 gives me 8, and I take the remaining digit. So what is the remaining digit in 84? That is 8. So always remember remaining digits from where we have to take, and now subtract 8 from 8 and we get 0. So what was the rule? If the number is either 0 or divisible by 7, then the original number is also be divisible by 7. So which means 84 is divisible by 7, 966 is divisible by 7, and 9681 is also be divisible by 7. This is the divisibility rule for 7. Through this, we can check any of the number, say that is divisible by 7 or not. Now I have a question for you. Is 95928 divisible by 8? So how do we know whether a number is divisible by another number or not? We need to divide this number by 8 and see if the remainder is 0. That means this number is divisible by 8. If the remainder is not 0, that means this number is not divisible by 8. So I need to divide 95928 by 8 and see whether I get the remainder or not. But see, this is a 5-digit number, so it's a huge number, and dividing this 5-digit number by 8 will involve a lot of steps. So is there any easier way by which we can find out this? Yes, there is. We have something called divisibility rule for 8. Tells us if the last three digits of a number are divisible by 8, then the number is divisible by 8. So, in this case, the last three digits are 9, 2 and 8. So, if the number 928 is divisible by 8, we can say that this number is also be divisible by 8. So now I do not need to divide this entire number by 8. I can only divide 9 to 8 by 8 and see whether this entire number is divisible by 8 or not. So the last three digits are 9 to 8. So I need to divide 9 to 8 by 8 to find whether it is divisible by 8 or not. So here this is my division and the remainder is 0. You can see the students, which means that 9 to 8 is divisible by 8. So if 9 to 8 is also be divisible by 8 by the divisibility rule of 8. So I can say that even this number is also be divisible by 8. This is divisibility rule of 8. Now, can you tell me whether 3870 divisible by 9 or not? Well, we have learned that divisibility rule of 3. But what about 9? We have a divisibility rule for 9 as well, which is very similar to that of 3. It says if the sum of the digits of a number is divisible by 9, then the number is also be divisible by 9. So, very similar to 3. It's just that the sum of the digit should be divisible by 9, this time not be 3. So, what is the sum of the digits? That is 3 plus 8 plus 7 plus 0, which means 3 plus 8, 11, 11 plus 7, 18, 18 plus 0, 18. So, the sum of these digits is 18. Now, is 18 divisible by 9? Because we are using divisibility rule of 9. So, if the sum of the digits are 9, the number is divisible by 9. So, 18 is divisible by 9? Yes, because it comes a table of 9. 9 into 2 become 18, which means even this number is divisible by also 9. Which number? 3870 is also be divisible by 9, and we have checked very easily with the help of using the divisibility rule for 9. Can you tell me whether 9540 divisible by 10 or not? So one way is to divide and check. But there is a divisibility rule for 10 as well. And it is a rule which you must be knowing by now. It is if the last digit of a number is 0, the number is divisible by 10. You know, if you multiply any number by 10, the answer is that number with 0 added at the end. So, the divisibility rule for 10 is also the same. It says if the last digit is 0, so the number is divisible by 10. So in this case, the last digit is 0. The number is divisible by 10. So I can say that 9540 is divisible by 10. Even if I take a bigger number, like if I take 3000, it's 320035, which is divisible by 10 or not? I just need to look at last digit, which is 5 in this case. But if the last digit is 5, so the number is not divisible by 10. So this number does not be divisible by 10 because in this number the last digit should not be 0. If the last digit is 0, then number should be divisible by 10 only. Now student, I will give you a few homework questions related to this chapter. In this question, you have to use the divisibility rules which I tells in this video and solve these all questions by own.